There is a place that is spoken about only in whispers. A dark area that spawns the beginnings of urban legends. A place where anything can happen and usually does. During the light of day, it hides just outside of view. But when the sun goes down, spirits, creatures of the night, roam free, and things do go bump in the night. It is in every state and every country, and there is no escaping it, no matter how safe you feel behind your locked doors and latched windows. So we invite you to turn down the lights and turn up your radio while we join Dave Schrader and Tim Dennis, your hosts, on a journey into the darkness on the edge of town.
Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, and along with me over at the Supernatural News Desk, ready to report on all things strange, Mr. Tim Dennis. Hello, Tim.
Hi, Dave.
How are you, sir?
I have had an exhausting weekend, but I'm good.
Excellent. Yes, you've been piecing together our new studio.
Oh, I am so happy. You have no idea, Dave. I am riding a high that I only rode back in college when crack was the thing to do.
Well, you realize that now that we'll be sharing the studio more often, you'll have to go back to wearing clothes.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Supernatural News Monday, Parashare Monday. We've got your stories to share. That'll be coming up a little bit later on in the show. And if you'd like to share your stories with us, you can always email them to me at dave@darknessradio.com. That's dave@darknessradio.com. I'm in a bit of a playful mood, Tim, so let's get started in this week's crazy antics. Where shall we begin this week's Supernatural News?
Oh, I got to read. I'm swooning over your voice. Wow.
Thanks.
We're going to start with ancient aliens, Dave.
Okay.
NASA has. No, I feel like I should be talking like you. I feel like I should lower the register of my voice.
I don't think the audience can take that much sexy in one show, Tim.
Well, maybe not. Ancient aliens. NASA has asked to investigate, or they're asking to investigate, a 10,000-year-old rock paintings of UFOs and ETs. Evidently, the suspense is killing them, Dave. They want to know exactly what they have here. Mysterious ancient rock paintings could show depictions of advanced aliens who visited our ancestors around 10,000 years ago, according to staggering claims. The paintings found in Charama, India. I love that show, by the way, Dave. Have you ever watched a marathon of Charama before?
No, I haven't.
I think it's now on the Sci-Fi Network. It's actually pretty good. Have been said to by some to show aliens and UFOs similar to how they are depicted in sci-fi movies. Ooh, so it's kind of like a flip book, except for it's on rocks.
Nice.
Yeah. A video uploaded to YouTube's The Lost History channel, oh, it's one of my favorites, says the local government in the area is seeking the help of the U.S. and Indian space agencies. Oh, boy, I have lots of questions about the Indian Space Agency.
I did not know. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I did not know that there was an Indian Space Agency.
Weren't familiar, huh? I'm
ISA?
not. ISA, yes.
Mm-hmm.
ISA, Yesamisa. It sounds like Jar Jar Binks is the head of ISA, I'm sure. Yeah, and
we used to go to space.
Yeah, pretty much. ISA. Now that's all I've got in my head. In the video, the narrator explains how a number of the paintings were discovered. According to local archaeologist J.R. Bagat, it is unclear as to what the images were supposed to be of. He said the findings suggest that humans in prehistoric times may have seen or imagined beings from other planets, which still create curiosity among people and researchers. This, according to the Daily Star. Extensive research is needed for further findings. Karama, it's Karama, not Charama. Karama, I got to get my Indian pronunciations down now, Dave. I'm going to start getting...
Krama, chameleon.
They come and go, Dave. They come and go.
You come and go. You come and go.
Presently doesn't have any such expert who could give clarity on the subject. Well, they're all busy being shot into space on a carpet, Dave.
I see.
I'm going to get emails for that one. The expert also said some of the other features of the painting were unclear and the characters appeared to be wielding weapons. They was hostile back then, Dave. He added the paintings are done in natural colors that have hardly faded despite the years. They were reeling in the years, Dave. That's what they were doing. I'm trying to get you to sing Steely Dan. It's not working.
It's not going to happen.
The strangely carved figures are seen holding weapon-like objects and do not have clear features. Especially the nose and mouth are missing. In few pictures, they are even shown wearing spacesuits. Ooh, they were nattily dressed for the times. We can't refute possibility of imagination by prehistoric men, but humans usually fancy such things. The narrator said archaeologists have contacted NASA and the Indian Space Research Organization, or ISRO, to help solve the mystery. There is a popular ancient alien theory. Our ancestors were visited by an advanced race of aliens that helped them build great monuments, such as the Egyptian pyramids and Stonehenge. This is due to question marks about how primitive societies were able to achieve such feats. These are claims of depictions of aliens and UFOs being found in ancient art across the globe, including in Egypt and even Aboriginal rock art in Australia. That's the name of my new band, by the way, Aboriginal Rock Art. One viewer of the video posted on YouTube said, "Evidence is everywhere. We need opened eyes. That's all." And another claimed, "We don't need to find aliens. They are already here around us."
I thought Journey told us what we really need is open arms.
They did, yes. Yeah, they did. However, skeptics say that ancient art also includes depictions of dragons and other mythical creatures, and this does not mean they existed. They also argue... Yeah.
If there were pictures, they didn't exist?
Yes, yeah.
What?
They also argue that humans were often depicted in weird and wonderful ways in rock and other historic artwork. I know there was the flying V guitar in rock, and there was also some other weird things in rock. I know at one time Gene Simmons used to paint himself up like a demon and spit fire. That was a weird depiction.
Well, I just was wondering with these ancient alien theories of these beings that they saw rock painted. I was just wondering if any of them were Mick Jagger and Keith Richards.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, they're what? They're 100 billion years old, right?
Yeah, they've got to be.
So,
closing in on it, at least.
Yeah, so they're probably in there, too. I mean, they probably met up with them. So.
All right. So that's about the extent of that, huh?
That's that shooting match right there.
All right. Where shall we jaunt off to next?
We're going to go to England, Dave. There no theme?
Dun, 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 dun.
Okay, thank you. Oh, they jazzed up.
Version.
Yeah, a little jazz this week. I like it. Yeah. Way to go there, Scatman Brothers. Prince Harry, little palm reading expert, predicts the shocking fate for the heir to the throne. I hope everybody is sitting down. Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Prince Harry has an unexpected fate ahead of him. Despite his current status as fifth in line for the British throne, that's not number 1, number 2, number 3, or even 4, Dave.
He's right behind me.
That's right. He's fifth in line for the throne. God help him if something should happen. Prince Harry, who is 33 now, is currently fifth in line to the throne in the British royal family, behind Prince Charles, who, by the way, is 69 years old. Just had to throw that in there. Prince William, who's 35. Prince George is ahead of him at the age of 4, Dave. I think he's got a pretty good shot at this deal. And Princess Charlotte, who's 2. How would you like to be ruled by a 2-year-old?
Well, it's happened. I have 11 children now, Tim. I've been ruled by children for many years.
Dear God. 11?
Well, I don't. I mean, I have 8 created children, and then 3 that I've bought recently
on layaway
on a group purchase with my wife.
That Walmart layaway finally came through, huh?
Yeah, when I bought her, she came through, and so I've got 3 stepsons now.
Jeez.
Mo, Larry, and Curly.
Mo, Larry, and Curly, huh?
Yeah,
that's nice. Oh, that's so 11. So
yeah.
So you now have your own offense or football team.
Well, possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they would play a lot like the Vikings, a lot of whining and easy injuries.
Wow. Well,
just saying. I'm just saying.
I know they would stop the Philadelphia Eagles probably better than our defense did. So
couldn't do worse. Anyway, where were we?
When Kate Middleton, 36, gives birth to her third child, Harry, the fiancé of Meghan Markle, also 36, will be sixth in line for the throne, Dave. However, a palm reading expert sees a surprise fate for Harry in the future. Here's the big surprise. Are you ready? According to the study of palmistry, Harry will go on to an unexpected career in his 40s and 50s. Are you ready for this? Ventriloquism. No, I'm kidding. I made that up.
Okay.
Oh,
good.
Woo. Ooh, that's pretty good.
Welcome to Britain's Got Talent. This week, we've got Prince Harry. Get up there. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Oh, he's terrible at this. No, this is indicated by a line known as the Earth line on Prince Harry's palm. Not ventriloquism, but the fact that he'll have a new job. Johnny Fincham, palm reading expert and author of Palmistry Made Easy, because by gosh, shouldn't it be, anticipates a massive change will happen to Harry. Rather than putting Harry on the throne, the change will see him take an international role instead, Dave. He'll be an
I've had a couple of Harry times while on the throne myself.
Really? Have you?
I have.
I would ask you to describe, but maybe the dinner hour for somebody.
Yes, that's true. Let's just say I had a few times. Parts of me were looking to abdicate.
Oh, yes, much like some people who are on the throne. Yeah. Yes. An international ventriloquist, Dave. This is this international role that they're talking about. I'm sure. Yeah. I don't know. I tried to continue the joke, and it was bad timing. The Earth line or lifeline is strong and clear, which is excellent for health, stability, and zest for life, explains Johnny. However, it is faded in the middle, so there will be massive changes in his late 40s and early 50s. Harry will take on a new role in the international stage or deal with non-UK matters. On a more tragic note, Johnny sees marks of tragedy in Harry's palm. I said Harry's palm, Dave.
Get out of here.
I said Harry's palm.
But are you reading it as written, or was that a little Timism?
No. I read it as it was written. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Harry's palm wasn't a Timism?
No, it wasn't.
Okay. Well, nice.
Included in the influence of the loss of his mother, Princess Diana, who died in a car crash age 36, the blunted line of emotion, or the heart line, is often a response to the divorce of parents, loss of a parent, or a sense of abandonment by the parents. Harry has, of course, experienced all of these things, said Johnny. If the prediction comes true, Harry is not only the only heir to the British throne to undergo surprise circumstances. It was recently revealed how Elizabeth II became Queen of the United Kingdom, as well as Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. She is the longest-serving monarch in British history, having been on the throne for 66 years. Dave, some people could say I've been on the throne sometimes for about that long as well.
Now that social media is a part of my life,
yeah,
I might even beat the Queen, if you know what I mean.
Well, don't beat her too hard. She's old. However, she did not expect to become the future queen until her fate changed at the age of 10. So what was the unexpected family drama that caused her to become the monarch, you may ask, despite originally being just third in line? Well, I have to scroll way past these ads, and there's no answer. Where is it? It's not in the article, Dave. It's just a question mark.
I think it was black magic, if I remember correctly.
All right, it's black magic. We'll settle on that. Yeah. There you go.
Is that it then?
That's it.
So she just thinks that he's never going to make it. What exactly what did this guy say? So Prince, I got lost in our story. Prince Harry's going to do what with his future?
He's going to take off in another direction with his career. He's not necessarily going to, I guess, be a prince anymore. He's going to take a new role, and it's going to be an international role at that. So he's going to do something.
Is he going to be the artist formerly known as
Prince Harry? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Good one. Huh. Yeah, way to go.
All right. I think I have an answer for you here, Tim.
Okay.
On how did Queen Elizabeth come to the throne?
All right.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see here. Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can find the shortened statement here.
Sure.
Let me see. Hold on.
I'm holding on. Yep.
During her grandfather's reign, Elizabeth was third in line of succession to the throne, behind her uncle Edward, Prince of Wales, and her father, the Duke of York. Although and I loved him on Bewitched, by the way, Duke
wonderful.
of York,
yeah.
Until he was replaced by Dick of Sargent, I think it was. She was not expected to become queen, as the Prince of Wales was still very young. Many people believed he would marry and have children of his own. When her grandfather died in 1936 and her uncle succeeded as Edward VIII, she became second in line to the throne after her father. Later that year, Edward abdicated after his proposed marriage to divorced socialite Wallis Simpson provoked a constitutional crisis. Consequently, Elizabeth's father became king, and she became heir presumptive. If her parents had a later son, she would have lost her position as first in line, as her brother would have been the heir apparent and above her in the line of succession. Elizabeth received private tuition and a constitutional history from Henry Martin, vice provost of Eton College. Anyway, so basically what it came down to was it just moved through her family, and luckily she never had a brother.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yes. So that's how she became the queen.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The more you know. Doom, 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 doom. Where are we going next?
We're talking alien abduction in California next.
What? Oh, many people have sent me this story, so this will be interesting. All right, let's hear what's going on with this possible, alleged alien abduction.
A missing skier was found 3,000 miles away in California, still wearing goggles. Yeah. This missing man mysteriously turned up in California nearly 3,000 miles from the ski resort where he was, and still wearing his ski clothes, including goggles and mask, sparking crazy claims that he may have been abducted by aliens. Konstantinos Danny Philippidis, who is 49 years old, is from Toronto and was at the Whiteface Mountain near New York, where he was reported missing last Wednesday by friends who could not find him. The married dad of two was with a group of fellow firefighters when they lost him as the mountain range was about to close. There was no trace of him, but his belongings, including his identification documents, were discovered in his lodge, and his car was still in the parking lot. It led to a huge search operation with hundreds of volunteers, rescue dogs, and helicopters scouring the icy terrain as friends and family feared the worst. However, 6 days later, he turned up dazed and confused around 2,824 miles away in California, unable to say how he got there, and still wearing his skiing clothes, complete with helmet and goggles. He was otherwise in good health, and his location was discovered after he made a phone call to his wife, who urged him to contact police. The mysterious circumstances surrounding how he got there has led to speculation among conspiracy theorists that he may have been abducted by aliens or even teleported. In a video entitled Skier Teleported 2,900 Miles Away from Mountain, YouTube conspiracy theory channel Secure Team 10 likened the case to that of Travis Walton, one of the world's most famous alleged alien abduction victims. Mr. Walton, who was working with a group of loggers in the Apache Sitgraves National Forest in Arizona in November of 1975, went missing for 5 days after a bizarre UFO sighting. He resurfaced confused, claiming to have been abducted by aliens. Mr. Glockner said, "How does a married firefighter on a mountain suddenly disappear off the face of the planet, seemingly then suddenly ending up in California?" Firefighters later revealed that Mr. Philippidis was found alone and unable to answer questions as to how he got to California. He did not have a history of mental illness or substance abuse. Mr. Philippidis later said he remembered being in the back of a truck before arriving in Sacramento. He was still unclear how he got there. Viewers are speculating about the case on YouTube. John Catlin said, "I saw Travis Walton speak a few years ago at a UFO convention in New Mexico. He was very normal and extremely believable. I went in to hear his story as a skeptic, and I left believing every word he said." Another said, "I hope he agrees to be hypnotized to learn the truth of his experience." Others were not impressed by the tale. One said, 5 days later, I would have enough time to get from New York to California. Nothing big, just a big prank, but I might be wrong, Kenneth Carpenter said. Teleportation doesn't take 6 days, dude.
Yeah. Could there be a chance that he skedaddled? They keep bringing up the fact that he was a married man who suddenly appeared 3,000 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
Could he have gone to meet somebody?
You know what? That might be a possibility, yeah.
I'm just saying, and then you play up the whole, I don't know how I got here.
Yeah.
I'm just throwing it out there. I don't mean to be a cynical jerk, and it's,
No,
just a thought.
Being. No,
just a thought.
That's very realistic. 6 days is a goodly amount of time. It's a goodly amount of time to, be able to take off and get from New York to California.
Yes. All right. Well, where shall we go next?
Next, we are going to go to a reputedly haunted portrait, actually, which is in West Virginia in a museum. Of more than 400 artifacts collected in the Museum of the Paranormal in West Virginia's City of the Dead, one is attracting more attention than all others, though curators are at a loss to explain why. You can see why the lost execution cap from the penitentiary's electric chair is popular, said Steve Hummel, referring to a relic from the nearby West Virginia Penitentiary, now a focus for guided ghost tours. But this portrait, few guests pass without remarking that they were moved by it or her in some way. Hummel has little explanation as to why he acquired the portrait, and only some idea as to why it is so paranormally active, though he can verify that it's garnered some consideration, or more consideration, than many other museum artifacts, which include dolls, books, statues, an embalming table, and even soil collected from the yard of serial killer John Wayne Gacy. The portrait attracted his attention years before he established the Archive of the Afterlife, the National Museum of the Paranormal, in 2012 in Moundsville, a city named for prehistoric burial mounds that rose along the Ohio River. The Grave Creek Mound is now the centerpiece for a state park and is all that remains of several burial mounds raised in alignment in what would become the city. Some paranormal investigators speculate that destruction of these sacred landmarks is what has contributed to psychic activity in the city. I had been visiting an antique mall in the Center Market area in Wheeling and often passed the portrait. I wondered what the young lady might have to say, though it wasn't until I opened the museum that I realized that it belonged in the museum. Of all artifacts, Annie's portrait also seems to be the most paranormally active, he says. Annie has been known to be given some folks some uneasy feelings, but she has also activated proximity meters, generated a disembodied laugh from within the museum, and has even been recorded on digital recorders. One particular recording has her saying her name, Annie, leaving a Class A EVP or electronic voice phenomenon. Added, she has even followed me home, twice to be exact, though I'll relate to that tale to museum visitors as there's much to tell. As for the execution cap, Hummel says, the relic, ironically acquired on eBay, is among the museum's other popular attractions. Communication with 2 of the 9 inmates executed with the cap at the penitentiary was made during an investigation by the Society of the Supernatural, he said, during which convicted killers Tom Ingram and Fred Painter made contact with the investigators. The museum is open Tuesday through Saturday, 1 to 6 p.m. Winter hours, December 1st through March 1st, or Friday and Saturday, 1 to 6 p.m., excluding major holidays and during inclement weather, because by gosh, you don't want to be trapped there. And appointments also can be made for private groups. There you go.
All right. That leads us to our next strange and supernatural tale of news. Where are we heading for this story?
Well, this story asks if this is the ghost of witch Jenny Greenteeth at the St. James Cemetery. A tourist claims to have caught the ghost of a witch who haunts St. James Cemetery on camera. Karen Hargreaves says she caught the sight of a spooky character while visiting on holiday from Perth in Australia. The 49-year-old says she wanted to visit St. James Cemetery after becoming curious of all the captures that people were displaying on Facebook after joining a Merseyside paranormal group. She said, I run my own group, Aussie Paranormal Research, and joined Keith Braithwaite's The History of Ghosts and Legends of Merseyside on Facebook. I was curious of all the captures other members were displaying, and I told Keith we were coming over for a holiday and that I would love to see this cemetery for myself. Karen and her husband organized to meet Keith for a ghost walk around the cemetery in the grounds of St. James Mountain Gardens, and it was on this night that, much to Karen's surprise, she caught what she believes is a ghostly figure on camera. In the top left of Karen's picture, a black shape can be seen, which appears to be walking through the overgrown foliage. The figure also looks to have dark, long black hair and is carrying a rucksack of some sort. And at that point, my story goes blank. Yeah.
Leaving us hanging, man. You and your stories.
Here we go. On a website of history on St. James Cemetery, a catalog of weird and wonderful people are reported buried in the grounds. From a sea captain stabbed to death in suspicious circumstances in the Bay of Biscay to a midget artist who spent her early years in a Victorian freak show to children who died during the Great Cholera epidemics and an American senator to a sailor who fought at the Battle of Trafalgar? Something like that.
Trafalgar, right. Trafalgar, like Trafalgar Square.
Well, sure.
Karen, or Trafalgar, whatever.
Whatever you want to, sure, yeah. However you want to pronounce it. Karen added, I've never seen a ghost with my own eyes, but I do catch them on camera here and there. And we've been told that many people have seen ghosts inside the cemetery. We were taken around the cemetery and told of the historic stories of the past with famous people buried in there, plus many sad stories of many children from workhouses and orphanages that are buried in there. We had a totally amazing holiday over there, she went on to add. And there you be.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
All right. Good old Jenny Greenteeth.
Good old Jenny Greenteeth.
All right. And what's your next story of weirdness?
Hardly knew her. A man claims he saw the world in 2030, passed a lie detector test, and then proceeded to make predictions. One of his predictions...
Who gave him the lie detector test? That's what I'm curious about.
Well, we'll find that out. A man called...
Fine.
Find that. A man called Noah by the international media has claimed to be a time traveler who has returned from 2030. And what's spookier is that he passed a lie detector test on his predictions on U.S. President Donald Trump and domestic help robots, Dave, among others. Robots.
Why, Dave? I'm not the one that's fearful of AI and Terminators.
Well, you said the zombies are getting us first. You know what? I actually had somebody send me a very intriguing story, Dave, who says, I'm going to win this bet.
Yes, Mr. Bitterman.
I'm going to win this bet. I should dig up this story. I should dig it up, Dave. Dave.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to.
I'm sorry, Tim. I can't do that.
So this guy has made some bizarre predictions, and it is tough to say if it is mere imagination or a real case of time travel, but Noah himself has opted to remain anonymous as he fears that he might be attacked for revealing what holds for the world in future. Boy, that's weird. A weird sentence. According to Paranormal Elite, the man suffers from depression and anorexia, claiming to be from his years of time travel. It is depressing and makes you not want to eat when you've traveled through time. He is claimed to have lived for 50 years, but currently looks like a 25-year-old man because of his secret age-defying drugs. We call it weed. In the video he shared with Paranormal Elite, his face is blurred, but his mannerisms suggest that he is pretty disturbed and probably not in his right frame of mind. If predictions are made by him to be believed, U.S. President Donald Trump will win a second term to the White House, and a Google Glass-style device would be worn by everyone by 2030. Kind of like glasses.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's coming right after the big comeback of the Betamax, right?
Yeah.
And the resurgence of the Pet Rock is our favorite home pet.
I love me some Pet Rocks. I don't know about you. I'm just saying. In other predictions, Noah has said that electric and self-driving cars will undergo massive improvements. AI, Dave.
I would hope so.
Artificial intelligence and virtual reality are set to become a rage in the near future and then destroy us!
You're very depressing.
About upcoming presidents of America, Noah has said that Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter will win the U.S. presidential elections in 2030.
Martin Luther King
Jr.'s daughter. So it'd be his granddaughter. No, wait. Martin Luther King Jr.'s daughter. His daughter?
In 2030. All right.
Never mind. Okay. Noah has said that with his predictions, he is just making an attempt to make people aware. And even more shocking claims, Noah belongs to 2021, but is stuck in the course of time travel in the present time. Paranormal Elite, which posted Noah's video, said Noah, the time traveler in the video, is actually from America, but after he was fired, he was relocated to Guadalajara, Mexico. He has recorded cases of depression, of anorexia, so we can claim that is 100% true. Otherwise, you guys decide. We at Paranormal Elite urge everyone to keep an open mind and come to a conclusion yourself.
So 2030 is when he says that Martin Luther King's daughter, Bernice King, will become president.
Yes.
All right. She will be 70-something at that point, which isn't unheard of. Isn't our current president in his 70s?
Yeah, he's 71.
So it's interesting. I mean, it's possible, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. All right. That's all I got to say about that.
Yeah.
Where are we going next?
We're going to...
So that was it. Really, that is kind of disappointing when you think of the whole time travel thing.
Yeah.
Didn't he say we're going to communicate by telepathy and everything? And
No.
Yeah, I thought that was another one of the articles I read on this guy.
Not
and he's dealing with all of these forms. See, now that... And isn't it interesting that he's dealing with, like, mental issues?
Yes.
Which he says is brought on by the time travel, or is this mental issues bringing on his hallucinations of time travel?
See, I would go with the latter there. Yeah.
I don't like to seem negative.
No, you're not being negative about it.
I'm kicking it around.
Yeah, I really do think it's probably a mental breakdown. Yeah, but that's me. That's just me being real.
Shake down, take down. Everybody walks into a crowded line. Shake down, take down. You busted. That's a little 80s music for you there too. It's a breakdown.
A little.
Yeah.
You're probably the only person to sing that since the songwriter.
Who was that? Bob Seger, right?
Yeah, it was Bob Seger. Yeah. He probably doesn't even sing that on tour.
Why? It's a great song.
No, I don't know about great. Let's reel that back a little bit. Let's reel it back a little bit.
My God, you're cynical.
That doesn't even make the top.
For a guy that likes Fleetwood Mac and Steely Dan, I think we should just move on.
Hey, you know what? They're coming back this year. They're doing a farewell tour this year.
Yay.
We're getting tickets, buddy. You and me. We're sitting front row.
Yeah, I've got this thing called Not Going that I'll be deeply entrenched in.
I'll have you know, I told everybody in the audience that you and I are going to Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers this summer. I got us tickets.
Now I do like me some Doobie Brothers.
Yeah. So you get
little China Grove, but I will not sit through Steely Dan.
You got 6 of one, half dozen of the other.
No, there's a good chance I might implode.
No, you'll be just fine.
Steely Dan makes my teeth sweat.
Davey, don't lose that number. We got tickets to Doobie Brothers and Steely Dan. We're going to be fine.
Yeah, I can't. I'll be sliding on naked on razor blades.
No. You don't have to do that.
I've had it on the records. Look, it's right here in my calendar. And I
haven't even given you the date yet.
Razor blades.
Yeah. I haven't even given you the date yet, though.
Yeah, I know, but I'm pretty sure that's it. I have a friend that's a time traveler. He told me that I would be sliding on razor blades a day. You want to take me to see Steely Dan, so I'm just giving you the heads up. Really? It's probably not even worth the time. You know what you should do is take Mally Fox. Call her up, bring her up, roll her out of mothballs, see if she can come out of marriage for one weekend to go see Steely Dan and the Doobies with you.
Why does she have to come out of marriage to see that? Is that a...
Well, because, once you're married, you're locked away and, put into mothballs, apparently in Michigan. That's why we never hear from her anymore.
I wished her a happy... By the way, her birthday was Friday.
I know. I wished her I even gave her a voicemail. I called up and sang to her.
I did too.
Maybe that's why I didn't hear back.
I didn't either. I didn't hear a thing on social media. And then Sunday, I texted her and I said, "Are you still alive? If not, I'm going to call in a welfare check." And she answered me back.
Okay, good. So she is still alive.
She is still alive, yeah. Yeah,
she's in a bag full of mothballs hidden in a closet.
She is. I think
her husband, Derek, has got her tied up. I'm just saying.
Yeah, chained to a radiator, I believe. She's chained to a radiator. And, it's a scary situation. But, we wish her the best. We're not getting involved because, we're not that brave. But no. But happy birthday, Mally. Yeah. Anyway, so Steely Dan, we'll be going to Steely Dan and the Doobie Brothers sometime this summer. I'm just going to knock you out with some
right
chloroform.
there. Yep, sliding down, naked down razor blades every day during the summer. Sorry. Ooh, so close to going to see Steely Dan with you. It says here I'll be gargling broken glass and hydrochloric acid the day that Fleetwood Mac comes to town.
No, see, you'll wake up from the chloroform in perfect time to catch Steely Dan.
What?
You'll be waking up in your seat front row at XO Energy Center.
Listen, if I don't hear a little, China Grove,
you'll hear it. You'll hear it. You just won't be
from
fully
a
awake.
drug-induced haze?
Yeah. The roofie will finally wear off about the time you hear.
Have you ever heard of Mac Sabbath and the Galactic Empire?
You know what? I have. I saw a video. I almost went down to that concert because I loved the video I saw so much.
It's a McDonald's-themed metal parody band.
Yes.
And founders of Drive Through Metal, Mac Sabbath graced First Avenue main room stage early last year with Metalachi on Sunday.
Right.
They're back. That was yesterday. This time with the Star Wars costumed metal cover band Galactic Empire.
Yep. I almost went down there Sunday night.
Really?
Yeah, because a bunch of my guys from IWI were down there on Sunday night.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just like the Ronald McDonald, kind of like Insane Clown Posse version.
Yep. They're really good and really funny too.
I'll have to check it out.
Have you seen their cover of Paranoid?
No, is that Parabuns?
Yes, Parabuns. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen that yet.
It's hysterical. It's really good. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shoot, I wish I would have seen it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, where are we off to next?
The next time they're in town, we're going. Max.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do that. Now, don't you convince Fleetwood Mac to dress up like killer versions of Ronald McDonald Crew to get me there.
Damn it.
And then spring on me at Fleetwood, Mac Sabbath.
Actually, I was going to convince Mick Fleetwood to dress up like the Burger King.
Yes. Oh, there you go. Now that would make sense.
And then get you over there.
Yeah.
Would that work?
No. Nope. Not going to do it.
All right. We're going to Siberia. Where we're going to watch.
As long as Fleetwood Mac and Steely Dan aren't there, count me in.
Damn it! It was a reunion tour in Siberia. All right, fine.
See, yep, razor blades, and that's what I'll be doing.
See. Police are seeking help from a church to help get Dave to see Fleetwood Mac in Siberia. On a poltergeist case in a remote corner of the Tomsk region. I don't know if you know where that is, Dave. I couldn't point it out on a Russian map if you paid me. It's just the way it is.
The Tomsk region?
Yeah, the Tomsk region.
Is that anywhere near the Aransk region or the Jerry region?
No, I don't know.
Me neither.
Who was the cousin? The cousin who showed up of Jerry?
What?
Yeah, the cousin of Jerry, the one with the sword. You remember that episode?
Of what?
Tom and Jerry.
Oh, yeah, the little On Guard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a weird episode.
It was a weird episode.
Yeah, I don't know.
One of my favorites, though.
Anyway, back to the thing.
Right. A priest had to be called to a private house in a small village some 331 kilometers northwest from the regional capital of Tomsk. It's hard to say. Earlier this week, police officers inspected the house following a call about weird things like flying knives from the property owners. A married couple and their 15-years-old adopted son claimed pieces of furniture were collapsing inside the house and chairs were reportedly flying. When the law enforcement team arrived, they found the house in a mess with belongings thrown all around in it and a knife stuck in the wall. That just sounded like a Thursday afternoon in my home as a child.
Yeah, in my house every day.
Yeah. Police officers claim to have felt the power of something that they could not explain rationally while they've been inside the house, because apparently a cupboard fell next to one of them, a stick flew out of an empty room, and books fell off a shelf. The officer filed a report describing what happened and went to a local church to ask for help, evidently from the Russian version of Father Guido Sarducci. I don't know if you've seen the picture of him here or not, Dave, but he's a character.
I have not.
Yeah. A priest was sent to a scene to carry a blessing ritual, which is supposed to calm evil spirits. Oh, boy, look at this. The Church of Kolpashevsky Eparchy of the Tomsk region made a statement of explaining their involvement. The police report concisely and accurately reflects on what really happened in the house. Yesterday, we received phone calls from police and a family living in Maraksa, said Secretary of Kolpashevsky Eparchy Hieromonch Simeon Koinov. A priest was sent to talk to the family and pray. He also witnessed all the things described in the report. When the priest arrived, so-called poltergeist calmed down a bit. He also came down for a cup of coffee and whatever else. And then the phenomena continued. We decided to curate this family. As opposed to helping them, I guess, they threw them in a museum. And to put all the effort not to allow such things to happen in their home, and that is the name of that tune. By the way, Maraxa is a small village with 9 streets on the river Ket. It was established 87 years ago. That's a subheading there for the story.
That's just a little extra information from your friends at Beyond the Darkness.
There you go. We go to Britain, where lost wreckage of the British Roswell flying saucer was discovered in a science museum. Missing wreckage from a miniature flying saucer, which was hailed as the British Roswell, has been found in a tin box in London's Science Museum. The lump of metal discovered on Silpho Moor near Scarborough, North Yorkshire in 1957 was so strange that it was dubbed the Silpho UFO. The disc, which was 16 inches in diameter and weighed 22 pounds, was inscribed with hieroglyphics similar to the wreckage of the so-called spacecraft found at Roswell, New Mexico in June of 1947. When the object was cut open, a book made of 17 thin copper sheets was found inside, with each sheet covered in more hieroglyphics. Local cafe owner Philip Longbottom, he's got a rapper name, claimed the hieroglyphics translated into a 2,000-word message sent by an alien called Yulo, which contained a warning of "you will improve or disappear." Wow, my teachers used to threaten me with that too. The remains were sent to the Natural History Museum in London, where experts concluded it was probably an elaborate hoax, as there was no evidence the metal had come from elsewhere in the solar system, nor had suffered high temperatures of entering the Earth's atmosphere. Even so, Air Chief Marshal Lord Dowding, how would you like that to be your name?
Lord Dowding.
Lord Dowding.
Yes.
Continued to believe...
What do you think of it? I'm doubting it.
I'm doubting it. Continued to believe that the object was extraterrestrial and said he had personally examined the it in 1959 and found it to be a miniature flying saucer. Yet it was unclear what happened to the object after that, with members of the UFO community believing it had been deliberately scrapped. However, it has now emerged. It was sent to the Science Museum in London in 1963, where it has remained forgotten in the archives for more than 60 years. It was only discovered after Dr. David Clark of Sheffield Hallam University recently gave a talk on the release of the Ministry of Defense's UFO files at the Science Museum. One of the museum staff tapped me on the shoulder and asked if I was aware that bits of a flying saucer had been kept in a cigarette tin in the museum group store for decades. I was absolutely amazed when later we opened the tin box and saw the wreckage. It was obvious that these are remains of the missing Silpho saucer that some have claimed as Britain's answer to the famous Roswell incident. It was incredible to hear that pieces of this mystery object have been sitting in a museum archive for more than half a century. Andy Roberts, former editor of UFO Britannia magazine, said the Silpho saucer story was Britain's answer to the Roswell incident, in which a crashed flying saucer was allegedly spirited away from a ranch in New Mexico in 1947. There you go.
All right. Yeah. How many more stories do we have, sir?
Let's see here. I believe I have one more.
Okay. What have you got?
Scientists are creating...
Oh, you have one more after this? I sent you an extra story because I love you.
Oh, how come I had it in one place, but I don't have it in another? That's what she said. What?
I got nothing.
Scientists create the first ever human-sheep hybrids, paving the way for organs to be grown in animals for transplant, even providing a cure for diabetes. Scientists have created the first ever human-sheep hybrids, paving the way for organs to be grown in animals, which could be transplanted into humans. The successful Stanford University project could open the door to finding a cure for type 1 diabetes by creating a healthy pancreas to regulate blood sugar. While scientists have previously developed human pig hybrids, sparking excitement that they could use them to grow human organs, no team has been able to take it to the next step. But Stanford's team, which has already been successful in transplanting pancreases into mice, is tipped to be the first now that they have produced a human sheep model to use. We have already generated a mouse pancreas in rats and then transplanted those into a diabetic mouse, and we're able to show almost a complete cure. Project lead Dr. Hiro Nakawachi. Oh, it's late. A professor of genetics at Stanford told the American Association for the Advancement of Science conference it could take 5 years or it could take 10 years, but I think eventually we'll be able to do this. The breakthrough could also help to alleviate the global shortage of organ donors. Around 76,000 people in the U.S. and 6,500 in the U.K. are on an organ transplant list, and it can take up to 5 years to reach the top. 32 people die a day waiting for a life-saving organ. The development also comes less than 2 years after the U.S. government said it would approve funding of these controversial experiments, but later backtracked after receiving more than 20,000 complaints from animal rights groups. Pablo Ross, associate professor of animal science at the University of California, Davis, who is part of leading the venture, admitted he harbors similar concerns. It depends on how far the human cells roam in the animal, he said. If they spread further than intended, it could be impossible to approve for ethical reasons, but he insisted it is one of the most promising explorations in medicine right now. We have this amazing life-saving technology right now with organ transplantation, but there aren't enough for everybody, said Pablo Ross, associate professor of animal science at UC Davis. Imagine you could grow organs in 9 months to an adult size. We could even reach a point, he says, when these organs aren't just used to save lives, but they could circumvent other conditions like diabetes. Transplanting organs from pig or sheep directly to humans has not been successful, but researchers believe using human stem cells may be an alternative solution. Researchers have previously developed human pig hybrids, but have not yet been able to use the process to grow human organs. To create their chimera, as hybrid animal humans are called, the team grew embryos containing sheep and human cells and kept the surrogate animal carrying them alive for 3 weeks. The team now plans to implant human stem cells into sheep embryos and hope that human DNA will be able to grow organs such as a pancreas. It would be a world first if a human organ could be grown inside a sheep.
Weird.
Yeah.
So they're doing these hybrids with animals to try to grow these other. I guess I'm not understanding what does that do for us? Why can't we just clone human parts? You know what I'm saying? I know that's what they were talking about stem cell research for, and that was really getting a lot of people up in arms. But how is it any better than mixing it with pig or goat or whatever they're going to end up mixing it with?
I think the cloning of the human parts goes against some ethical stuff, and that's why they.
What ethical stuff? It's saving lives.
Don't quote me, because I'm not on the medical boards with the ethical stuff.
Well, I'm quoting you, boy. I'm quoting you real good.
But I believe that goes against some ethics. So, yeah.
That makes no sense.
All right,
yeah,
so
lives should be the ethics we're all worried about, but I guess not.
Look at you on the soapbox. Okay, now, I got the story that you sent me about the Crestline woman.
Right.
Claims she saw a Bigfoot. Oh, yes, I've been sent this many times this week.
Right, that's why I figured we should cover this now so it doesn't keep getting pounded into our mailbox before we go to a little Parashare.
Pounding into my mailbox. And I did find the story from the listener that I needed to read to you as well. So let's get these two out of the way.
2 more stories before we go to a break and then come back with Parashare. Where are we going? You said Bigfoot, Tim.
Yep.
A lawsuit has been filed?
A lawsuit's been filed by a Crestline woman. She said she spotted a Sasquatch in the San Bernardino Mountains and filed a lawsuit to prove it. If they wanted to hurt us that day, they could have, Claudia Ackley said. We were right there. Ackley was hiking a trail in Blue Jay with her 2 daughters on March 17th of 2017 between 6:30 and 7 p.m. She said her daughters noticed it first. They were standing right there, frozen, looking at something, Ackley said. She believes they were looking at Bigfoot. He looked like a Neanderthal man with a lot of hair, Ackley said, about 800 pounds. I was trying to tell it to please not hurt us, and that's when he just started staring at me. Ackley said the Sasquatch was perched in a tree about 30 feet above the ground. She said there were 2 other Sasquatches nearby. All I'm thinking is please don't get near us because I have my children, she said. Ackley called 911 but said the authorities didn't believe her. I'm sorry you saw a bear, Ackley said. And I said, no, this was no bear. I know what I saw. Ackley has filed a lawsuit against the state of California as well as the California Department of Fish and Wildlife for refusing to acknowledge the existence of species of Bigfoot. The spokesperson for the CDFW would not comment because of the pending lawsuit. They're on our property. They knock on our walls. They look through our windows, Ackley said. It's more and more and more.
Interesting. Suing the state because they're not acknowledging the existence of Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Well, but it'd be interesting to see where this goes.
Now, here's the one that's going to creep you out, Dave. Here's the one that's going to win me the box of Twinkies. Are you ready?
Well, you can give it another shot.
Oh, no. This is the cherry on the pie, my friend. Not even darknet pros can access the mysterious Mariana's Web. That's right, Dave. There's another step beyond the darknet. Mariana's Web. And the reasons may be horrifying. You probably have heard of the deep web, and you may have even heard of the dark web, where illicit trade and other scary exchanges occur, but you probably didn't know about this ad that popped up. Didn't know about Mariana's Web. It's one of those hidden places on the internet which contains sites you couldn't find anywhere else. Rumor has it that what happens on the deep web is nothing compared to Mariana's Web. However, many doubt that it's even real. Now, here's the deal. Hacking into the network requires solving an impossible equation using a quantum computer. Those who believe in Mariana's Web say its impenetrability, which is a huge word for me, bear with me, is due to 2 factors. The first is that those who attempt to access it may have computational knowledge of polymeric falsigal derivation, and if you can pronounce it, you're much smarter than I. A complicated algorithm necessary to access the network. Polymeric falsigal derivation is only mentioned in the context of Mariana's Web and doesn't appear to be a real mathematical concept. Second, the only way to calculate the algorithm is through the use of a functioning quantum computer. When the idea of Mariana's Web was first circulated, quantum computing was still in its infancy and no quantum computers officially existed. But the lack of availability seems to be part of its allure, and it's said that only the most powerful governments in the world have quantum computers. I sound like I'm crazy, don't I? And therefore, only they have access to Mariana's Web. Now you may say, Tim, what does this have to do with anything?
Tim, what does this have to do with anything?
Some say that Mariana's Web, Dave, is run by a powerful AI that has gained sentience. Okay.
I hear Charlotte's Web is run by a spider and a talking pig. So neither one of these sound believable.
No, wait a minute. Don't cut me off.
Okay.
One of the spookier rumors about Mariana's Web is that it's run by an enigmatic and powerful artificial intelligence system. Now, I know you're saying I sound like Alex Jones here. If only I did this, Dave, I'd sound like Alex Jones. It's said to be an AI that acts as the Internet's all-seeing matron, controlling information and monitoring remote systems. Some have even gone so far as to say that Mariana's Web is the AI itself, which is an incredibly compelling theory. Any being with that amount of knowledge has the potential to be incredibly dangerous. While artificial intelligence as a scientific discipline has existed since the 1950s, it has yet to reach that level of complexity, much less self-awareness. Now, the dark web, as we know, certainly exists. You can log onto it, and it's filled with wonders and horrors alike. And we've talked about the dark web before. Now, here's the deal. Here's where we tie it all together. That Mariana's Web, the rumor, it talks about how the rumor is designed to distract from dark web and black market takedowns. And then there's something in here in this article that talks about how it talks about the existence of quantum computers being confirmed in 2015 in a partnership between NASA, Google, and Universal Space Research Association. However, the only way to run a quantum computer is by placing it in an extreme environment. Its CPU can only run in a vacuum whose pressure is 10 billion times lower than that of Earth's atmosphere. In addition, the vacuum must be at a temperature of 0.015 degrees above absolute zero. So nothing human, Dave, can run a quantum computer. Now, So Mariana's Web is supposedly real and out there, and it isn't run by anything human. Now, rumors of it exist, and this is a big, huge, long article, and I'll post the link for this big, long, huge article on our description so you can read it for yourself. But the thing that's intriguing about this is they're saying that they're tying this AI to self-propelled cars and all this other stuff, and that this AI actually ties into Mariana's Web, and the AI that is self-sentient is actually what may be behind the AI that's driving these cars, and this AI may already be in control of our society.
I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
If AI was really out there and there was this overlord, artificial intelligence that was watching us, they would have already eradicated all Steely Dan and Fleetwood Mac songs from the internet. That's all I have to say.
Maybe they
if it truly was a superior being.
Maybe they worship Donald. Maybe it was created by Donald Fagen from Steely Dan.
I doubt it.
Just saying.
All right, that's it for now. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, it's time for Parashare. Your stories featured next on the best in paranormal talk radio. This is Beyond the Darkness.
Beyond the Darkness.
We're back. This is Parashare Monday. I'm your host, Dave Schrader, along with me, Tim Dennis. He's going to put that link up to the AI story if you are interested in following this insane ramblings of an obvious lunatic about the idea that the AI exists.
Mariana's Web, Dave.
No,
eventually, it'll end up doing everything but taking care of your 57 kids at home.
Well, why can't it do that? That's where I actually need AI.
No, it won't do that, no.
Or an IUD, one or the other. Mm-hmm. All right, here's some emails. Let's get to them. Hey, Dave and Tim, it's Savannah with just a few more stories before I begin. Now, Savannah's good, right? She says, I have more stories, and she actually writes in with more stories.
Good!
Savannah says, hey, Dave and Tim, it's Savannah with just a few more stories. Before I begin, I'm going to go over a couple of things very quickly. First off, no, I don't still have the accent from Italy. I was pretty young when I came back over to the States. To follow up on my last email, I'm double-checking for typos. I don't burn pots, I burn pine. Sorry for the confusion. Ha ha. Lastly, guys, I wear glasses. I'm not missing an eye or anything like that. I just require curved glass in front of my face to be able to tell the difference between a deer and a person. It sucks. So, now that that's out of the way, here are a few stories I hope you guys enjoy. I'll save the creepier ones for last again. All right, so here we go. First story. It had been later at night when I was in the living room sometime last November, and we were playing on the PlayStation. It wasn't too loud or anything. It was a surprisingly quiet night. Amidst a small chatter that we had picked up, there was a small bang. One of my sisters just looked up and shrugged, but from across the room, my mom and I looked at each other. It was loud and odd, considering nobody was in the back half of the house. So I sighed, and I got up. It could have been one of the dogs. Could have been the fan knocking something over. Who knew? Walking into the back half of the house, I checked the hallway and my brother's room. Nothing amiss. The bathroom was fine. Nothing had gone wrong there. When I got into my room, I was irritated. I own a small little chest similar to a wooden card holder with a metal latch and hinges and all of that. It's held about 300 silver beads the size of pinheads ever since their package had broken, along with sewing supplies and a handful of small rocks. It had previously been put behind my magazine stack on my top shelf of my bookcase, but now was fully open and face down on the floor. Contents upset over the entire carpet, Tim. Well, now, that's a little odd considering it was in the middle of my room. So apparently we have a passive-aggressive spirit that just likes to make us angry. I don't know. This is the second part. This one is kind of stupid in more ways than one. It was about 5 years back when my bus stop used to be the empty shell of an abandoned school. Yeah, it had loads of locked and barbed fences, and the doors were locked, but the whole school was an outside one. The kind that all the classes opened in the breezeways outside, and the cafeteria was in a separate building on the property. A couple of friends and I had made a Ouija board. I know, stupid. We decided to break in. Even more stupid. In the middle of the courtyard, we thought it would be fun to use the board and do a seance, considering it was where a memorial stone was placed. More stupidity. Not much happened, actually, unless you count the weird coincidence of my glass bead bracelet deciding to violently bust and one of those yellow garden spiders straight up rushing one of my friends. The board worked to some extent, but I was sure it must have been just one of us pushing it. The third story is, this is one of my mom's stories. She has insomnia and is a light sleeper. One night, she was going to bed, reading before actually going to sleep, and had put her book up, shutting out the light. Rolling over, she told me that she had heard a small laugh from the foot of her bed. Thinking it was one of my sisters, she just ignored it. Not too long after, the bedroom door slowly opens. She thinks it's my stepdad, since it was dark and all she could see was a tall, black figure. It goes into the bathroom, opening the door, then leaves, leaving the doors open. By now, she's salty since what she presumed was my stepdad just left everything open and lights on and gets up to confront him about it, but he wasn't even home yet. Okay, they weren't that great. I'm behind schedule, so hopefully I can write about some better ones by next week. I love listening to y'all, and the show is doing amazing. Thank you guys a lot. I hope everything is going okay and keeps up that way. Have fun out there. That's Savannah. Well, Savannah, just hold on to your stories until you have all really good ones, and then send those to us.
Right.
Is that asking too much, Tim?
No.
Am I asking too much is what I want to know.
No.
I'm just asking, Tim.
No.
That's the question.
No.
Hola, Dave and Tim. Ooh, this one's so continental, Tim.
Oh, yes.
I absolutely love your show. Absolutely. I absolutely love your show.
Oh, yes.
Just like many, I caught y'all on Talk is Jericho, my fave wrestler and entertainer of all time, and since then have been hooked to y'all's show.
Yeah.
Y'all's.
Mm-hmm.
I love that singer. Lou Y'alls?
Oh, he's dead now. I saw him in concert, though.
Did you really?
Yeah, I did.
So what I have to share with you, this is mostly about experiences my best friend Hector had and a little bit about mine in high school. We grew up in a small boomtown in West Texas named Borger. It was known for being a bit rough around the edges since it was established in the early 1900s, and it attracted a lot of outlaws and criminals and general population of gonna make it rich with oil boom. Being a longtime believer in ghosts and other things that creep in the night, I've always had a feeling that my old town had to be haunted. It had numerous stories of witches and satanic worshipers, and it has even been rumored to be a stopping point for Charles Manson on his way through to California. The house my buddy grew up in was a very small shoebox of a house and the same shape to boot. In the day, it didn't look intimidating. At night, it was a different story. When you walk into the front door, you walk right into the living room. There was a couple of bedrooms on the right side, and then you walk through the living room. It takes you to a hallway, the restroom to the left, and the kitchen straight down toward the back of the house. The house was so small, you could walk in and see straight through all the way to the house to the backyard through the kitchen door. That is, unless it was evening or dead of night. Somehow, even though there were plenty of windows and street lights that could shine into the house, it was pitch black, and you couldn't see past the hallway. One night, the topic of the paranormal was brought up, and he told me about how every year, from September until November, he would hear children in his bedroom talking to each other and laughing. Since his bedroom was in the middle to the right, he could see when someone would walk to and from the kitchen or restroom. Numerous times during these 3 specific months, he would see shadow figures walking by his door. Figuring it was one of his parents, he wouldn't be bothered by it until he realized no one ever walked back and no lights ever came on. The story that really takes the cake, though, is the night he decided to sleep in the living room. Their couch sat to where, if you laid down on it, you either face the hallway or face the front door. He happened to be facing the hallway. As he's laying there, he hears something fall off the wall in the hallway. And then, as if someone was walking down the hall with arms extended, touching the walls, every single item that was hanging on the walls came down, one by one, from the kitchen side to the living room. As whatever entity that was doing this reached the living room, he, all of a sudden, had the blanket ripped off of him down to his feet. He felt a pair of hands grab him by the wrists and tried pulling him off the couch toward the front door. He leapt right off the couch and ran into his parents' bedroom, where he decided it would be better to just sleep on their floor. He did mention when they first moved in they were having plumbing issues, so his dad went under the house to work on it himself. He ended up finding an old book under the house and brought it up. He remembers the book sitting on the kitchen table as his parents were talking about it and seeing why they were so concerned. The book looked very old, and on the cover was a pentagram. Of course, his mom told him to go to his room while the grown-ups discussed what to do with the book, so he never knew what ended up happening with it. He imagines his parents either burned it or gave it to someone to get rid of it, since they were religious and didn't want such things around. As for my experience and why I believed him, I stayed at his place after hanging out one Friday evening. He decided to be a pal and let me take his bed while he made himself comfy on the floor. As we were talking about that day's events and just general high school BS, I suddenly heard what sounded like a happy child speaking to no one in particular. As I laid there in shock, wondering if what I heard was real, he yelled out in excitement, "Did you hear that? I told you!" Apparently, he wasn't fazed by this because he resumed talking to me about whatever topic we had been discussing. It was just as though it had never been interrupted. A few minutes later, it happened again, this time louder and creepier. Needless to say, I didn't sleep very much, and I was quietly freaking out on the inside of my head. A couple weeks later, we're sitting in his bedroom on a Saturday evening as we're talking and listening to music. The side door next to the kitchen opened and closed as if someone had just walked out. And then inexplicably, his dog, who was chained outside, started yelping and going crazy. The night was still, so there was no wind, and his dog was more of a barker and not afraid of anything. Its yelping was more of the freaked out, scared persuasion. That was it for me. I bid him a fair good night, and I went home. Thank you so much for taking the time to read my story. Love everything y'all do. I just got my email about my order for Paranormal Challenge in your book, so can't wait to get it. Your friend for life, Jesus. Hey, that's comforting, Tim.
Wow.
Jesus is our friend for life.
Well, he should be.
Well, that's Jesus from Round Rock, Texas, Tim.
Oh.
Yeah, but I'll take it. Hey,
yeah.
Any friend of Jesus. That's what I have to say. Dave and Tim. That's how this one starts off, Tim. Longtime fan and a listener, and have also made it to a couple of events over the years. Palmer House and Mounds Theater. I have a unique story situation and would like to hear your feedback and suggestions. When I was younger, my brothers and I, like most, had babysitters to watch over us during the summer months. Towards the end of this being necessary, meaning as I got closer to being old enough to care for my younger brothers on my own, we had none other than the hottest girl in high school. Think Kelly from Saved by the Bell as our sitter. Needless to say, us young boys were willing to do anything to impress her. Kelly Kapowski, Tim. That's all I have to say. One summer day, she opens up her bag and asked if we had ever heard of a Ouija board. I'd say I was around 12 years old, loved all things scary, and, of course, didn't want to seem chicken in front of her, so I agreed to use it. She explained the rules and some stories, and we started. It was all pretty run-of-the-mill stuff. However, it did identify some interesting information. For instance, we asked who stole my mom's diamond earrings, and it spelled out Shelley, who was another sitter that was a bit rough around the edges and was only used as a last resort. Sure, we always suspected her and could have willed it to spell that, but it was interesting nonetheless. This is going to be silly, but this is where my quandary starts. Next, our sitter abruptly asks, "Who is Derek going to marry?" I was shocked at the question, but hung in there to see if maybe her name came up. The only thing I remember is that it was not her name, and it was a unique name that started with an R or an S, maybe. I've had several serious relationships, including an engagement to marry, which did not pan out. I'm now 37, in a relationship and in a solid relationship, another M name. And, of course, this sits in the back of my mind and makes me question things. Do you think I need to just let that go and block it out of my memory? My faith in God and my knowledge of the Ouija board has grown, so I definitely do not want to turn to that again for answers. But is that my only option? I know this seems a little cheesy, but I'm just worried that I may be not with the right person. I know none of us have the answer to that age-old question. In retrospect, I wish I had never done this, but I did. I'm pretty sure the answer for me now is to try to dismiss and trust in God. Sorry for rambling. Thanks for letting me bend your ear. I may have answered my own question unless you guys say to get back on the horse and ask again, but that idea kind of scares me. You guys are the best. I hope to hit up another event again. David, maybe set up an event at Isetti Ranch? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Wish you guys the best and thanks. And that comes from Derek. Well, Derek, here's my answer to your question. And then, Tim, you feel free to jump in.
Okay.
You're with the wrong person.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know why I think he's with the wrong person?
Because he's asking the question?
Yeah. If you're questioning your love for somebody because of a Ouija board from when you were a teenager or before you were a teenager, I'd say you're not with the right person. That would be my guess. You know what? I questioned relationships in the past, and I should have stuck with those gut feelings. But you know what? I don't question the love that I have right now with my wife and that she has for me. It just doesn't cross my mind. I'm very aware of it, very full of it. Well, full of it in many different ways, Tim. But I just think that if you're questioning, and I don't know where you stand on this, Tim, but I think if you're questioning if you're with the right person because of a possible mix-up with a Ouija board from, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, yeah, you might be just looking for a loophole and a way to get out. So if you're already doing that, instead of second-guessing the rest of your life, just don't get involved any deeper with this woman. That would be my take on it. And, yeah, I think you need to shake it. Just get over it. Most likely she was playing a game with you, pushing the planchette, just trying to mess with the kids she was babysitting for. So I just couldn't give that much. Now, if you talk to multiple people throughout your lives and they're all like, oh, I see you with someone named Mary, and it was multiple unassociated people, then I might think, oh, maybe there's something to that if they're all picking up on this resonance of this name and this attachment. But I'd also hate for you to, maybe miss out on somebody that's fantastic that's not named Mary.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. You got to go with where your heart lies, not necessarily
right.
where a Ouija board points you to. And the other thing too is here's the thing. It sounds like you're wanting to put the blame or the responsibility in the hands of the Ouija board, and I think what we've found over the years, Dave, is it's easier to put the blame with the psychic. It's easy to put the blame with the Ouija board. It's easy to put the blame for your life or the blame in somebody else's hands. And a lot of times, sometimes you got to put the finger and put it right back on you for making the choices that you've made. So
that's right. Give yourself the finger.
Yeah, give yourself the finger.
Yeah.
And you know what? If you're following your heart and you're doing what you feel is right, and you have the courage to come out and say what you feel, then you're never going to lead yourself astray. So,
right. So this is it. Take a deep breath. Think about the woman that you're with. And if the woman that you're with, you realize is the woman that you want to live every day of your life with, and you want to wake up next to, and you want to share adventures with, and you're willing to work to be that person for her as well, then you're with the right person. But if you're with a person and you think you might be in love, but you're still questioning what you think you might have gotten from a Ouija board 15 or 20 years ago, you're not in that stable of a relationship. If it's that easily rocked, I would guess that's my answer.
Yeah.
But I could be wrong. Tim and I are not relationship experts. Let's just both go on the record as saying that up front. And I don't want hate mail for, why would you morons be giving, my God, Schrader, you have 4 million children from 1,800 women. What gives you the right? I do get emails like that, by the way.
Do you?
But people, here's what gives me the right. He asked our opinion, and I'm just weighing in on it from where I stand and what I think. And, I just think love supersedes superstition.
I'm just saying, don't take love advice from the Ouija board because the devil wants you to try different women. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So, take it from Tim because I got plenty of whores from the devil. Just saying.
God, that's the worst advice ever. Hey, Dave and Tim, I have 2 Mandela Effect oddities that I would like your thoughts on. First, do you remember what's on King Tut's headdress, or rather on the head part of the sarcophagus? I distinctly remember a specific animal. and can find so many illustrations of what I remember there, but it's only partially correct. What do you guys remember?
I remember
it was like a cobra.
I remember an arrow going through his head. It was Steve Martin, right?
Yeah, no, that wasn't it. Wasn't
No.
didn't he on the sarcophagus it have like a cobra head or something, or like a snake head at the top?
I thought.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I wasn't paying that close attention.
Yeah, I was too busy checking out Michelle Riegel's butt when we went to the big
Yeah, me too. I
to
mean,
the
no,
big museum, the historic museum. I was like,
Yeah.
look at Michelle Riegel's butt. Who cares about a dead guy's coffin? Check out Michelle Riegel. That's where my thoughts were, Tim. I'm just going to be honest with you. The old Field Museum in Chicago, Illinois.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now you know the secret, Michelle. Secret's out. I was checking
Yeah.
out your butt instead of King Tut.
Yeah. Butt instead of tut. That's a good slogan.
Right.
That's a good slogan for 2020 if you're running
and
for
then
president.
For the for all of the museums now, maybe they want a T-shirt that says "Tuts, not butts."
Right.
Yeah, can we make one of those? You think?
We can. Yeah, I think that should go
Tuts.
up on the Amazon page.
Yeah, tuts, not butts.
Tuts, not butts.
Secondly, the statue of the thinker. How do you remember the hand on his face? Is it bald or open palmed? I always thought it was kind of balled up under his chin, kind of like Uncle Rico from Napoleon Dynamite.
I thought it was bald too.
I distinctly remember it one way, and so do the illustrations of the thinker, as well as so many people posed incorrectly directly in front of the statue. I've been thoroughly intrigued by the Mandela effect for a number of years now and love the episodes you've had on the subject. However, haven't heard anything about these two instances on the show. Figured I'd bring them up with you guys to see what you think. Best wishes to you both. I love all that you do for people, and that comes from Eliza Barham. Well, she didn't give us any answers. What the hell is this all about? Let me see. King Tut. Let me take a quick picture, quick look at his sarcophagus, Tim.
Yeah?
Yeah, he's got a cobra.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, what is that next to it? What am I looking at here? Good God.
It's a little scratch writing that says Tut was here.
Yeah, no, it's like I don't remember that. It's like an ostrich head and a cobra, it looks like, in this picture I'm looking at. I don't remember the ostrich head next to the cobra. Do you?
An ostrich head? No.
That's what it kind of looks like in this picture. I don't know. I mean, take a look at it and see what you see. It's hard to tell because it's so small for me. The picture, that is, Tim.
Yeah.
Yeah, the picture, Tim.
Not
picture's
the
very
actual
small for me.
cobra.
It looks like an ostrich head and a cobra head next to one another. I don't remember that at all.
Let me see.
What kind of world? What kind of crazy, insane, mixed up, mumbled up?
I'm trying not to look at the header that says King Tut and Steve Martin.
Yeah.
Because that one shows the arrow.
Oh, look at Tuts, not butts. That's what it should have said.
Tuts,
right there.
not butts. That's exactly right. Tuts, not butts.
All right, Eliza Barham, thank you for making us think.
I just see the cobra.
No, keep looking. There's a cobra, unless you and I are looking at Mandela effect computers in different places.
What else am I supposed to be seeing?
I don't know. It looks like next to the cobra head is like an ostrich head. There's like two heads coming off the top of his sarcophagus.
Yeah, there's two heads there. But I thought those were both snakes.
No, look at it closer. One of them's like a bird head, like an ostrich or an emu.
Oh, an emu. Maybe there's oil coming off that thing. I got some joint pain I need to take care of.
Blue emu. Yeah. Hi, Dave and Tim. As we wrap up our final story for the evening, Tim. My story begins in a hot, blistery North Carolina May. While visiting my family on a cookout, my aunt and uncle were hosting a party in their circa 1970s style ranch brick home. The layout of the home is like this. The carport covers a side door that opens into a kitchen on the left and the living room on the right. Directly in front of you is a narrow hallway that holds the following. First door on the left is a sunroom. The sunroom has a door on the left that leads to a covered porch, which leads to a back carport. Basically, it's a large circle. This will be important later. I feel like I should have taken notes on that one, Tim. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
As you pass the sunroom on the left, there's a bedroom directly across from it. This sounds like one of those math questions at the end. And who is the conductor's daughter? Right? That's the question.
Rachel.
Yes. As you pass the sunroom on the left, there's a bedroom directly across from it on the right. The next door to the left is a windowless bathroom. Further down the hallway is another bedroom on the right and a master bedroom on the left. All the women were inside getting the food ready. As we brought it outside, we would walk into the door under the carport, grab a dish, walk through the sunroom to the covered porch, and back to the door under the carport. It made for a quick setup for a meal. After helping out, I really had to use the bathroom. I should add that this is the first time I've been to my aunt and uncle's home, as they moved quite frequently. I began to walk down the hallway and felt incredibly freaked out about halfway down. I almost turned around, but my urge to pee was greater than my fear. I mustered the courage to walk into the bathroom. As I sat on the toilet, I noticed that the shower was directly in front of me, and the sink was to my left. There was no windows, and it was small. Then it hit me. I'm being watched. I couldn't get my pants up fast enough. I didn't wash my hands, and I ran out of there as fast as I could. I told my mom that house is haunted, and I got the hell out of there. I had a couple of moments like that, but I was just sharing an apartment with Tim. Felt like I was being watched and had to yank my pants up and run. It says here, I've never felt a presence as strong as the one I felt that day. It was angry, and I could feel it. Later that night, I told my fiancé what had happened, and he just brushed it off as it being in an unfamiliar place. Fast forward to a year later, I'm at the same house, and this time my fiancé is with me. I convince him to go into the bathroom so he can experience what I experienced. He hesitantly walked down the hallway, casting a glance back at me for reassurance. He goes in and moments later emerges, drying his hands, Tim.
Not drying his hands?
Nothing, not a single thing happened to him. Now it's my turn. As I walk down the narrow hallway, I'm anticipating that feeling of doom. But it's not there. I'm beginning to feel a bit foolish at this point. Just as I'm finishing up, I hear a man yell, "Hello!"
It was Medea?
Hello.
Hello.
I wash my hands and charge down the hallway and give my fiancé the third degree for trying to scare the shit out of me. I told him it didn't work. He had no idea what I was talking about. He stated that he had been in the kitchen the entire time, eavesdropping on a conversation between my aunt and uncle. He asked what happened, and I told him. He promised that it wasn't him. I questioned if it had really been, or if I had really heard it or not, but I know I did. It was so clear and loud. I needed answers, and I needed them now. I told my fiancé to go outside and stand near the bathroom and yell, "Hello!" He did, and I heard nothing. Later that afternoon, my aunt and uncle's neighbor came over to join in the meal. I overheard her talking about her husband who passed away 1 year and 2 weeks prior. What the Could it have been him I heard? Was he trying to get a message to his grief-stricken wife? While you were going to the bathroom? Hello?
Hello?
Would you tell my wife the will is in the carport?
So Dr. Evil was over?
Yes.
Wow.
It's right under the shark with the laser. I decided to make it my mission to help this poor soul. I would take a recorder for me to the next cookout and see if I could help out. A year went by, and it was time for the cookout. I ended up with a severe migraine and didn't make it. I asked my brother to do the recording instead, and much to his chagrin, he agreed. At some point, his daughter, my niece, had to use the restroom. Finally, I'm about to learn who this man is and what he needs. I asked my brother for the recording, and he said he didn't get it. He stated that as he entered the restroom, he was stricken with a sense of dread and fear. He couldn't get out of there fast enough. He packed up his belongings and my little niece and left. I still don't know who the hello man is, but I only have 3 more months until I find out. Stay tuned. Side note. As I read over this, it dawned on me that the hello may not be my neighbor's husband at all. It may be my grandfather. In 1976, my grandfather was living in a downstairs apartment at the same aunt and uncle's house. While my 18-year-old cousin was at home getting ready for school, my grandfather was murdered. Throughout the years, more and more details have emerged about the scene, and I'm convinced that my cousin had something to do with this death. This story will knock your socks off. Talk about a dark family secret. This one is about to come to light. And that comes from Kate. And that's the Hello Man story, Tim. It's a good one to end on, don't you think?
It is. I'm still wondering how Dr. Evil ended up in Medea's family.
Hello. That's just the way it runs. Well, that's it for tonight. We'll be back tomorrow, Tim. Finally, 12 and a half years in, my dream guest joins us, Tim. Dr. Michio Kaku, tomorrow. on the best in paranormal talk radio. Tune in tomorrow for Beyond the Darkness.